every turn of life, the inhumane will show their face.
What do you have to say to some of those state legislators who maybe have your jersey in their closets, who came and brought their kids to your game to cheer for you?
Well, I think that's another reason why I don't live in this state. A lot of people don't know that. I have to make decisions for my family, not just personal individual decisions. I mean, obviously the taxes is great. Okay. Having Wade County is great, but my family would not be accepted or feel comfortable there. So that's one of the reasons why I don't live there.
Dwayne Wade would speak on the topic of the rolling back of LGBTQ plus rights in the state of Florida with Rachel Nichols of Showtime Basketball.
What's your message to Ron DeSantis?
I don't know him, but I do know men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. I do know that when our children feel accepted, that 43% of our children that feels accepted from their parents, from the world, it lowers the death rate. Suicide is high in the trans community. It's high in youth. And so I'm going to step on the side of acceptance, and I'm not going to even go on the other side. I'm just focused on acceptance. And so let's make sure our kids have an opportunity to live this life that we all get to live. And it starts with our gun safety laws, obviously. We have a lot of work to do there in our schools, but also, too, in our community, which is the trans community.
And at the Met Gala with Variety, this all comes as wannabe President Ron DeSantis co-opts a strategy as old as time, going after the already marginalized and blaming them for the world's problems instead of acknowledging things like no health care, cost of living, inflation, and money in politics to keep the status quo, to name a few.
Ron DeSantis loves sticking his fingers where they don't belong. And we're not just talking about pudding. DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements, like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age. Tell Ron DeSantis to keep his pudding fingers off our money. Oh, and somebody get this man a spoon.
All while, per sources at the Daily Beast, DeSantis ate chocolate pudding dessert with 3 of his fingers, quote, like a starving animal who has never eaten before. Why is Wade and his family leaving? Because in short, it's unsafe. Senate Bill 254 passed the Florida Senate in early April, which bans gender-affirming care. In addition, it strips parental rights from parents, like Wade and wife Gabrielle Union, who support trans children. The Tampa Bay Times notes doctors and healthcare providers could face felonies for those who provide treatments. The bill's sponsor is this man, Clay Yarborough, who is attempting to get in the good graces of DeSantis. The pro-fascist Yarborough demands less pronouns and less drag queen shows. To this day, the biggest issue for the top law enforcement officials in this country is not gender-affirming care or RuPaul. It is white domestic terrorism, a la a large, vocal, and violent voting bloc that remains a pillar of Republicans, not only winning elections, but threatening the livelihood of their fellow Americans. In addition, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis and the state government have gotten into a feud with Disney after the company opposed the state's Don't Say Gay legislation, which restricts classroom instruction on gender identity and sexual orientation. Earlier this month, the state board approved an expansion of Don't Say Gay to include all grades because, let's be clear, that was always the goal. What Florida Republicans have done is use the terms of yesteryears and expanded upon bathroom bill to expand and in turn overreach on the rights of citizens in the state of Florida. HRC would write after these dangerous pieces of legislation passed, from doctors' offices to bathrooms, SB 254 and HB 1521 are simply cruel attempts to stigmatize, marginalize, and erase the LGBTQ plus community, particularly trans youth. Shame on them. HRC strongly condemns these bills and will continue to fight for LGBTQ plus youth and their families. Because of this lack of acceptance, marginalization, and bullying from the most powerful, it trickles down throughout society, which leaves the oppressed feeling helpless. Statistics show. The Guardian reported on a survey from the Trevor Project. Nearly 34,000 queer and trans youth ages 13 to 24 showed alarmingly high rates of suicide attempts, depression, and anxiety across liberal and conservative regions. From this source itself, the data would provide critical insights into the suicide risk, barriers to mental health care, anti-LGBTQ victimization, and negative impacts of recent politics reported by LGBTQ youth. While 55% of Black LGBTQ youth reported symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder in the past 2 weeks, including 70% of Black, trans, and non-binary youth. Wade has admittedly educated himself on these topics. He understands the importance of family, where he has remained steadfast in his support of daughter Zaya Wade. A question that is always asked: what would you do for your kids? How would you protect your kids? Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union have shown you what the answer is.